are live. Welcome everyone. Happy New Year. We are very excited to bring you this much needed conversation, and we're excited to talk all about the high school. So my name is Roro. I have the pleasure of serving as the president for the Council of PTAs. I'll share a little bit about the council later, but now I want to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. I will start with Maura. Maura Baker is a senior at West Orange High School. She's been heavily involved in the West Orange High School community since her freshman year, participating in a variety of clubs, even holding the office of State Board of Education Student Representative during the 2021-22 school year. She is currently one of our Board of Education student liaison for the West Orange Board of Education. Maura, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I will go on to Nikki, who's our parent representative here. Nikki Bashkoff is a mother of two and is a resident of West Orange, New Jersey. She has lived here for 17 years and has a senior in high school and an 8th grader in middle school. Bashkoff has been actively involved in her children's activities and is currently involved in helping with the middle school musical and boys soccer boosters. Before becoming a parent, Bashkoff worked as a middle school English and reading teacher. Currently, she works as an on-air guest for QVC. How cool. Specializing in accessories. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi.
We love to have engaged parents. Next, I'll introduce Oscar Guerrero, our newest principal for the high school. He has 19 years of experience in education as a social studies teacher, as a head football coach, dean of students, elementary assistant principal, and principal of Memorial High School in Hudson County. Mr. Guerrero and his family moved to West Orange 2 years ago. He's a proud husband and father of 4 children, including 2 at Redwood. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you for having me, Tess.
Next up, we have Hayden Moore, pretty familiar to a lot of you, I'm sure. Hayden Moore is a West Orange resident and parent of a 6th grader and a kindergartner in West Orange Public Schools. He started his career in West Orange in 1997 as a social worker. I did not know that. After working at several of our schools, he was promoted to Dean of Students at West Orange High School. Then Mr. Moore was promoted to Assistant Principal in 2004 and later became the Principal in 2012. I'm going to quiz you all on all of this history. While at the high school, he has been instrumental in creating block drop scheduling and expanding the advanced placement and technology and engineering courses, just to name a few. He's very active in our sports and arts programs and instituted the Mountaineer Mentor Program and Mountaineer Academy. He is now the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. Welcome, Hayden.
Thank you and Happy New Year, Taz. I do have to add one thing. I have a recent graduate from West Orange High School, my daughter, who's now at Rutgers.
Nice, thank you. Then we have Catherine Connors. Catherine has been an educator at West Orange High School since 2014 in the area of health sciences, which serves as a dual enrollment program with Rutgers University, awarding students college credits. She's also an advisor for Student Council, oversees the student liaisons for the Board of Education and the Mountaineer Mentors Program. In addition, she's involved with various scholarships and community events. Ms. Connors continues to support all district endeavors and is passionate about mentoring all stakeholders in West Orange community. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you for having me tonight.
All right, so this panel is hosted by the West Orange Council of PTAs in partnership with our school district. So I'll tell you a little bit about the council in case you're not familiar. So we are lucky to have something called the Council of PTAs, which is a district level PTA. You all are probably familiar with the idea of a PTA at each individual school, which we have across our 11 schools. And then we have something called the Council of PTAs. Not every town has it, only 2 in Essex County. We're one of them. And our work is to, of course, to work with our local PTA boards within each school, but then also to strategically partner with our superintendent and Board of Education and then administration. Some of our notable projects involve, typically we host the Board of Education debates when there is a running. You may be familiar that we now have pre-K expansion. That project was incubated at the council. We collaborate on implementing strategy on key initiatives, such as when there's a curriculum change rollout. And we work on several several advocacy projects across the district. So that's a little bit about what we do. So we're going to get right to it because we have such a rich and robust conversation that we'll have, and we want to leave some time for questions as well. You may have noticed that I tend to go by first names, so I love and respect the panelists. That's just how I roll. So we will go to the questions. And so the first question I'll pose, the way we'll do it is, of course, everyone here will have a perspective, and we were intentional about including sort of a 360 view, right, from leadership, administration, parent, teachers, students. So I'm sure everyone will chime in on each question, but I'll generally pose it to one or two people. So I'll start with you, Oscar. Tell us about some of the program offerings at the high school. This can be both academic, non-academic.
Thank you, Tess. West Orange High School is a very special place. We have a lot to offer here, a lot to offer our students. Part of the reason why it is a special place is because we have amazing students and an amazing faculty that is willing to go above and beyond to make sure that our students receive quality education. Just to provide an overview of some of the highlights of what we have to offer, because it is a lot and I may leave some things out, but we currently offer over 23 AP courses. We have special honors programs like IMS and IH, that's the Institute of Math and Science and the Institute of Humanities. A very special program is our Junior Air Force ROTC program. It's a Title X U.S. code mandated citizenship training program that's designated to educate and train high school cadets in citizenship, promoting community service, instill personal responsibility, character, and self-discipline. This program is achieved through classroom instruction, education, and activities that center around air and space education, aviation, and whatnot. We have a very special 18 to 21-year-old program for our special needs students. And from extracurricular standpoint, we offer over 50 student clubs here at West Orange High School. These clubs are, there's something for all student interests, but they are made up mostly of academic clubs, special interest clubs, and cultural clubs. We also have 13 different honor societies that students can pursue and become a part of. From an athletic standpoint, we compete in 26 different sports. We have here, out of the 2,100 students we have, between the 3 different seasons, we have over 800 student athletes that participate in the fall, winter, and spring seasons. And just this past fall, we experienced one of the most successful fall seasons in the history of our school and our town, where our football and our boys soccer teams, as many of you know, won the state sectional championship in New Jersey. We also had our girls soccer team win the Essex County Championship. Our cross country team won the Liberty Division Championships. Our marching band, they were overall champs and placed in different regional and state competitions. And our cheerleaders placed first at the Randolph Rumble competition. And that entire season was culminated with a very special celebration, hometown celebration down in Town Hall not too long ago. And lastly, I do want to mention our performing arts department, which does an amazing job nurturing and cultivating the talent that our students bring with them through our different performances by our choirs and our orchestras. And hopefully, our community can take advantage of those events. So we do have a lot here, and our students reap the benefits of those programs.
Yes, thank you. Definitely a lot there. I myself have come to some of the plays, and it's really, really remarkable. I mean, it just doesn't look like a high school production. It's very impressive. Is there anything you'd like to add here, Hayden?
Well, I think Principal Guerrero did a fine job of describing how immense our programs are. But overall, I think what the theme of West Orange, and I hope it's taken as throughout our district, is we're an inclusive place. We are a place that once you come to West Orange and you're part of our system, we grab you, we make you family. We go ahead and we make sure that there's something that we can do to make sure you're interested in school, what you'd like to do, what your interests are. We'll help follow through with some of those things, but we're also a place that is nurturing, right, and inclusive. Those are the two things I like people to think of when they come to West Orange. And then we could even talk about the academics, but prior to that, we want students and families to understand we're an inclusive place. We're very involved in the students' lives. We care about our students, and we nurture their success.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know that Oscar mentioned 50 clubs, 26 sports. It's almost like overwhelming. It's a lot. And we'll talk a little bit later about a way to find out about this. There's actually an activities fair. You get to find out, what each of these things are and who leads them. And I'm looking, actually, if you see me look over here, I'm looking at my other screen where I'm looking at a newsletter published from the West Orange High School Career Education Post, where there's tons. I mean, there's culinary arts, early childhood, fashion, accounting, and the VEI, the virtual enterprise business we have. So I myself, I'm a mentor there. I've heard that some of our virtual businesses, people actually thought that they were real, and people have been reaching out to our students to buy the products, right?
Yeah, and the students compete in industry standards. They compete and hope to push their company forward.
Yeah.
But we have a heavy push on architecture and engineering. Over the years, we've developed it. We're coming with Cisco and cybersecurity. So we try to be progressive so that our students can make a connection from school to what a real world career can be.
Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you for that. This question, I'll pose it to Catherine, and of course chime in, as needed. So how does the high school care for students with different levels of activities and abilities, right? So 2,100 students we have in our school. I don't know, if that's considered large as comparison to other towns that we have, but sometimes parents may be concerned that, those who have, special needs and those who are gifted by the nature of their needs may get specialized care or attention, and then our average students may kind of get left. And so Catherine, if you can talk about sort of the different offerings that we have and how we care for that'd be great.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different offerings here too. One of our biggest programs is what we call our AVID program. So our AVID program is designed, it's a smaller group learning because it's a 4-year program. So what it has is it's for those middle of the line students that we call them those cusp students, that if they had that little extra help or they had that little extra push, and they're in this, so they've got the same teacher for 4 years, starting in their freshman year. And that teacher moves with each grade with them to ensure, and it's kind of like an extra set of eyes to look over their grades and talk with them and figure out different activities. I know when there's an AVID student in one of my classes, because their first assignment that they're told is to walk up to the teacher, introduce themselves, and ask to be seated in the front of the room. So these are different things as well, so that they are identified to us, so that we know that there's an extra support system as well for those students put in play. We also have our, you mentioned Mr. Moore started the Mountaineer Mentors program here. So what that is that's a peer-to-peer. So we actually, so this is juniors and seniors will apply to be a part of this program. And then what that is done is that they are paired up with incoming freshmen or transfer students. So any new student into our school gets a group of students that they are able to assign to, because we understand that adults aren't always able to connect with our kids, right? So we also have those upperclassmen who have been here for a few years and understand the school and know how to navigate the school, that extra support system, and that they are to meet up with their transfer students or their incoming freshmen throughout the year. They're to check in, they email them. It's another check on those kids, and they know too, because we train them. The Mountaineer mentors are trained on how to give them all the information. We understand this school, 2,100 kids, it's a lot of kids. It's a big building. There's, like we said, how many clubs? There's a lot of things to navigate. So we give that extra fold when they maybe don't want to come to the adults, that they've got those upperclassmen there for them to ask those questions. And we always know that our Mountaineer mentors, if they don't know the answer to the question, they know to come to one of us to get that answer.
I love that. I appreciate that. And speaking of different levels of, care, there is, I want to call your attention to a resource, WOCPTA, right? So West Orange Special Education Parent Advocacy committee, I believe, or council. And so there is an organization out there, I believe it's a district-wide organization that is there to support the parents and families of children who need special needs. And so whether this is, with IEP meetings and things like that, so it is a resource out there, just so you know. Let's move on to the next question. I'll pose this to Hayden since you have a little bit more history. How prepared are students for post-graduation, right? So both for college bound and also alternate options. You're on mute.
I didn't want to blow that up being on live, but sorry.
No worries.
Well, we start with the schedule, and the schedule itself is a rotating drop, which will resemble what classes look like. You don't have classes every day. You have to remember your schedule. You have classes rotated in and out. Secondly, the rigor. West Orange prides itself on the rigor that we offer our students. And the reason why our rigor is as such is because we want our students to complete their years of whatever that may be, whether it's college, whether it's a trade school, whether it's one of the computer tech schools. We make sure that we offer a level of rigor in which all students would be able to get through and compete. Then it's the coursework. We do have courses that also offer college credits. Of course, your AP courses, if you pass the AP test, of course, that's just, but we offer things and I think I'm going to let Catherine and so forth answer more, but we have the health courses in which you can earn credit from Rutgers. We have partnerships with Fairleigh. We have partnerships with Essex County. So there are other avenues in which you can also earn college credit, but also give you exposure, because what I believe is students need exposure to rigor and to what college would be like. And sometimes those kinds of things help to make sure we sustain them in school. I'll tell you again, we're blessed here at West Orange High School because our students don't complain about the rigor, although they do think it's a lot of work, but there's purpose behind it, and it's to build their work ethic so that they're able to compete globally and not just in your traditional university, but wherever they may go. The school itself is so special in its diversity and the way that we do classes in a collaborative manner. They always work in groups, and Maura can speak to that a little bit more. And that's on purpose as well, as we want our students exposed to working with each other, different people, and we're blessed with that diversity that we provide that. So our students have a great chance to be successful in any post-secondary institution, university, or trade or work.
Excellent. That's actually a great segue to talk about one of the questions that came in on Facebook is which programs are eligible for college credit. So if you want to chime in on that, Catherine.
Yeah, so we have 5 colleges and universities that we actually have partnerships with here at the high school that allows students, which are a little bit different than your AP credits. AP credits, you got to get a certain score on a test, and colleges may take those credits, as opposed to these, especially. So I personally teach our health sciences program, which is a dual enrollment class with Rutgers University. So students get actual transcripts from Rutgers University as opposed to just those AP credits. So it's a little bit different. And they're able to transfer those credits to whichever school they may be going to. We all know that Rutgers University is a huge university, so most schools will be taking those. So just in those classes, we offer 4 different courses just for the health sciences, which is kind of like an introduction into our health sciences that, if taken all of them and pass all of the Rutgers tests, so there's an end of the year exam that's administered by Rutgers at university, that kids can, that students are able to get up to 13 college credits. So there is also, we've got a couple of apprenticeship programs here as well. So we've got an automotive tech program here. So that offers any 12th graders that are in the automotive class to get an apprenticeship. that provides job training and also gets them a certificate for the automotive service excellence, which then enables to get them a job. There's another one with the carpentry. So carpentry, we got a partnership with Eastern Atlantic Carpentry, which gets students paid internships, and all of the training is also again for free. So these are options for those students that maybe college isn't their next move, but they want to get into the workforce and they want those training programs, and we have those partnerships put in place. And just the opposite, to feed off of that with our health sciences, if students aren't able to go to universities, we also have another program. It's called the YTTW, which is the Youth Transition to Work Program, which gives students a CNA, which is a certified nurse's aide, or a physical therapy aide. What it is, entirely free. It gets them the job training, it gets them certification, and also with this one, it's guaranteed job placement, which many of our students have actually were able to get jobs and are working before the end of the fiscal year after they graduate, which is really cool.
I love that. A lot of great information there. So we're getting a lot of activity on Facebook. Love it. And so one of the questions, I think you sort of answered it, but I'll pose it to you just to clarify. So there's a parent asking, her son is in accounting class, which is in partnership with FDU Fairleigh Dickinson. She was told to pay FDU a fee. This accounting class will count for 3 college credits. Would this only be available if he attends FDU?
So with those, because they're coming straight from those colleges, they're able to get actual transcripts and then transfer those credits to whichever college they decide to attend. We all know with transferring colleges, it depends on how or where in their actual program those credits will fit, but especially for the prices that we offer them. So currently right now with the Rutgers University, I know that we charge per exam as opposed to per credit. So that's a big difference. So right now they're $80 per exam for us, but you get up to 3 or 4 college credits per. And if anyone knows how expensive college is right now, that is less than a college application fee right now for those credits.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to add to that, I believe the 5 universities that we currently have partnerships are FDU, Rider, Rutgers, Essex, and Hudson Community College. And it's a matter of what universities accept, when you do transfer those credits, which universities do accept those credits. For a school like Rutgers, you'll probably, you'll be able to transfer the most, universities, in this country. So it's definitely a great opportunity to get a jump start on future careers.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. There's also a question when you mentioned the Mountain East mentor. Someone asked, what is the criteria for becoming a mentor?
So those are offered to our emails. You go out to all of the rising 11th and 12th graders, usually in like the April timesheet with criteria and all of the check boxes that need to be done, and students apply. And there's a panel. So those emails, make sure they are checking their student emails. Those come out towards the end of the year for the following school year. And they're able to go through and then see if they check all of the different boxes. And there's some questions and an application for them to apply for. But that's 11th and 12th grade years.
I believe we currently have over 100.
We do. I think it's like 120 Mountaineer mentors this year.
Awesome. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep the questions coming. Share this feed with other people so they can participate as well live. We're happy to field your questions. So I'll pivot a little bit to Nikki to ask, what has your experience been as a parent, right? And you can even talk a little bit about, when you moved to West Orange, what your journey was, what your plans were, and what your experience has been at the high school. And, if you have any advice for parents like me who have younger children who are not at the high school yet, or maybe even considering, coming to our district.
Absolutely. So in all honesty, we moved here when my oldest was 8 months old, and we were told by our realtor, by our neighbors, you're fine for elementary, but you probably want to leave before middle and high school. And so we just kind of kept that in the back of our head and had such a great experience at the beginning of elementary. My kids went to St. Cloud. When we moved in, that was our starter house. We moved to a different house and purposely picked to stay in St. Cloud because we loved it so much and figured it would be a smoother transition. And I have to say, we have had the best experience between both of my kids. We've really found that the more involved that you get, the better experience it's going to be for everybody. So that's for you as a parent, that's for the kids being involved in activities at school. And it really is what you make of it. So, we've always encouraged our kids to get involved. My older one is super involved with sports. My younger one is super involved with theater and acting and chorus. And I know everybody has different time constraints because of work and where they're available. So the best thing I could say is get involved as much as you can. And the thing that we've noticed that really made the difference is when our kids were little, we really started taking them to the high school events. So like I said, my older son is into soccer. So we were going to soccer games, the high school soccer games, from the beginning, always taking him, to the bigger games. And a lot of the coaches have camps over the summer or during vacations where you can sign up your younger kids and the older kids help and they're together. And it just really fosters the sense of community that your kids get excited to want to be a part of. And I found also, like I said, my younger son's into chorus and acting, and going to the school musicals, Tess, you mentioned that before, and going to just even the choir concerts. The choir concerts are an experience. It is such an experience. And not only does it get the kids excited about what's to come, but it also, from a parent's point of view, to see, at the choir concerts, the kids cheering for each other is just something really special. And to see, at the soccer games, the football team come to support the soccer, boys soccer team and vice versa. It really is such a great experience as a parent, especially of parents of younger kids, Tess, like you said, to see what the great energy is when you step foot into the building or you step foot on, in the soccer bleachers. It's just such a great experience. And so I really think that is best. You need to feel it to really get a sense of how special and unique our school district really is.
I really appreciate, how you explain that, because that's precisely why we, designed this talk, honestly, is, I'm a mom, most of us here live in town. And so rightfully so, when folks are considering coming here or maybe have younger children or, their kids are about to go to middle school and high school, there's this question that comes up, right? So how are the schools, particularly the middle and high school? And it's a fair question. A lot of it is derived from the school ratings. So let's talk about them, right? So ratings are, it's this convenient one-digit number, something out of 10 or ABC that third-party companies offer. So let's be clear about who's offering and why. So typically there's two companies, Great Schools and Niche. Niche tends to use the ABC model. Great Schools use the numerical model. And all these are particularly Great School is a data collection company, and they have their own algorithm and math of how they come up with this grading system. Right? That's what it is first and foremost. And so when you see them embedded in particularly real estate websites and anything that has to do with school, they simply have what's called first comers advantage when it comes to school data collection. Therefore, their data is incorporated in a lot of that stuff. So that's how that works, right? I think it's really important to understand the layers behind that data and what they look at and how they grade it, because unfortunately, absent of a parent, really doing their research or talking to parents in the community, having discussion like we're having, or really researching the district, that is, it's easy, right? It's like it's one data point and that's what we make our decisions on. And unfortunately, that doesn't quite paint a holistic picture of, all districts across the board. And so I just want, especially, you mentioned, unfortunately, you are told that, you might be good for elementary, but this, and I can tell you as a fellow real estate professional, we're really not supposed to say that. And it's hard. It's a really hard place to be because parents really want to know, is this a good school system for my kid? And what we should do is give them the data points and give them resources of where to have this holistic, data collection outside of that, the something out of 10. And here's how parents can do that, right? So a lot of districts at this point should have some type of social media presence. That's a very good place for you to go and research and see, what type of programs they talk about, or, if that's important to you. If diversity is important to you, look to see what type of, event celebrations happen. Check out their website. A lot of the Board of Education meetings are public. They're available on YouTube. Actually spend time researching. because that 1-digit number is honestly too easy and maybe a little bit too lazy, right, to make big decisions on. And you may be missing out on an amazing experience. I did not go through the West Orange school system. I was not born here. My sister did. And she tells me that, you know what, she has friends from all types of backgrounds. And she says it actually helps me at work, because I'm dealing with all type of different personalities, and her friends from like global everywhere, and they cherish each other's cultures and foods, and she can understand different cultures, and it's an asset actually, right? And so I just want to say that that is the impetus of why this panel. I just kept seeing it over and over, and I felt like it was something that we needed to discuss. And I think absent information, we tend to believe the one piece, even if it's biased or unbalanced, the one piece of information we have, right? And this dialogue is really to help us balance that out. And so I hope that gives some clarity as to, why those scores show up and who they are. And I encourage you to do some research on the companies that offer them as well. You might find something interesting as to, what they value and how those ratings are arrived at. Having said that, I want to get to Maura. I want to hear about your experience. So tell us a little bit about what your experience has been as a student. Did you attend the West Orange school systems, the whole time? I know that you have some really remarkable accomplishments. I love to hear about how, your upbringing or your education has played a part in that.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually did not go to elementary schools in the public schools. I was actually homeschooled until middle school. So I went to Liberty starting 7th grade, and now I'm a senior at the high school. So I think, that was definitely very interesting, because you always hear a lot of, great things about the elementary schools. And then once you get to the middle and the high schools, then it, kind of, you don't hear as much good things, unfortunately. But I think, there's definitely a lot of great opportunities for students at the high school. So starting my freshman year, I was in the IH program. And as someone who loves literature and history, being able to be in an honors cohort for those classes, I think, it really helped me kind of explore my interests deeper, which is kind of goes along with that theme that there is something for every student. English and history, that's my thing. And, I found that there was a program for me. There's also the IMS program for, kids who are more like math and science oriented. And then also I got a lot of opportunities, just from being involved with a lot of stuff. Obviously that shows the importance of being involved, because I was heavily involved with student council since middle school. And because I was in student council, I got a lot of opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten if I wasn't as involved. One of the reasons I ended up running for and winning the State Board of Education student rep position was because from being in student council, I heard about, this was an office that, we could run for. So I decided to do it because, I had that opportunity from being involved. And I think because I've had those, opportunities from being involved, I've, been able to have a lot of accomplishments. While I was on the board, I spoke to, school boards and parents across the state. And without having those opportunities, I wouldn't have had those accomplishments. So I think that's really important to note.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's almost like the opposite, right? We
Yes.
often, Nikki was told that you're good for elementary, but maybe not. And yours was,
Right.
you were
Yeah.
home for elementary. And so that's really interesting to hear. I also hear, maybe Catherine, you can chime in here, and I've seen it too when I've come for, plays or, any activity. Typically, there's a lot of teachers active as well, right? So often, within the PTA world, I hear a lot of parents say, when my kids are little, I get to meet other parents through the PTA, but then when they're older and they're really, don't need us anymore, they're more independent, and the PTA serves maybe a slightly different purpose than it did in elementary. I don't really get to know what's going on at school. And so, but I know that the teachers are also very visible and, engaged, right, with activities when it comes to students.
Yeah, we've got the ability here because there are so many activities. I just came from a basketball game right before this to go to these activities. It's really cool when you get to tap into the different parts of the kids in their lives. So when you go to a band concert, you go to a choir concert and you see one of your students, it's really good to know the other things that they're involved with. They also start to look for you, ask, are you coming to this event? Are you coming to this weekend? Are you, you're going to stop by? And they look for you, which is really cool. We get to know that we all know what teenagers are like, right? They don't always listen to their adults at home as much anymore. And we get to be that other voice sometimes. And that other counterpart that gets to be that positive role model in their life. So that's really cool that they ask and they want to make sure. And it's really cool to see. I love coming to a night event. I love coming to these other things. It helps that I live close by too, but so, I mean, these are really cool and it's not just me. There's plenty of other teachers that, I think I was just at the basketball game I just was at, there was, probably 5 or 6 other teachers in the stands, or walking in and just coming in really quick. And, and I had heard a whisper as someone walked in that was like, oh, he went and picked up his daughter first and then came to the game. We know each other's kids, you know what I mean? Because we all grow up together, being here. So it's really cool that you guys might not be going on, but like there are other adults that are looking around and there are other adults who are involved and other adults that are showing up to all these events too. So when you're not there, I also get the parents that are like, hey, I'm not able to go to the game. And I was like, it's okay, I'll be there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But there is a PTA at the high school. In fact, they have an event tomorrow, I think, to meet the principal. So if any high school parent is watching, be sure to check that out. So we're getting tons of questions. Let me see if I can get through to them. I will get through to them. I'm going to come back to you, Maura. Maybe if you can, this was actually one of the questions that came in through the Google form. You touched on it, but maybe for parents who are not familiar with it, if you can say a few words about IH and IMS programs.
Yeah, of course. So IH is the Institute for Humanities. It's an honors program where students are in cohorts for their English and social studies classes. So you're with all the same people in English and social studies. And IMS is basically the math and science version of that. You're in cohorts for your math and science classes. And really the purpose, at least for IH, which I was in, is to show the deeper connections between, literature and history. So it's really for students who, they really like that kind of thing. And then there's, of course, just your typical like honors classes for those same classes. But the difference is when you're in IH or IMS, you're in a cohort. So you all have the same teacher and you're all together for the same classes, and it kind of allows the teachers and the class as a whole to go deeper into these topics, if those are topics of interest for the students. So
thank you. I hope that's helpful. There was a question about the high school offering associates programs for students. So I think we talked about that. There is credit partnerships, right? Not necessarily associate programs.
Yeah, so there's credit programs with all of those colleges that Oscar had mentioned. And then those apprenticeships, and then the youth transition to work program doesn't, they partner with ECC. So students are able to get Essex County Community College credits and then work in their programs, but it does get them certified in these particular jobs. But then the students who are in them continue working on their associate's degrees while working.
Okay, got it. And then maybe another connected question, is your partnership with a third-party company vocational tech? If so, are there programs in computer science certifications offered?
So computers.
Lincoln Tech comes in and tests. Sometimes we'll take our kids and do the admission. But we've developed those partnerships through just relationships, because the great thing about having a school this size is that we are able to develop different relationships with different academic and career-wise institutions. So we have a nice relationship with Lincoln Tech, and a lot of our students would do a lot of those courses through there, but they would come in and test them here on campus, right within our building.
And to speak on the computer science question, through our partnership with Fairleigh Dickinson University, students that are in our honors cybersecurity course, they also have, it's a dual credit partnership where they can receive college credit for that.
And there's a Cisco program in which students can become certified through our Cisco courses as well.
Excellent. Great. Okay, so we have a question from another parent. I have an 8th grader that I'm blessed to be recommended for several honors tracks at West Orange High School. While I'm proud of her for doing such a great job, I'm nervous about her SEL social emotional learning supports if it becomes overwhelming. What SEL supports are available for students when they need to check in with someone or need support throughout the day? Good question.
I don't know if Oscar, we want to talk a little bit about our mindfulness room, and we have a mindfulness room that we started last year when I was principal, where we have a place for students to go where there is no judgment or charge. We have we have an adult person who meets with them, a teacher or counselor or an adult that meets with them, and an adult on duty. So we have 2 adults in the room. One usually will sit with the student, and they talk about all different things. And then what we tend to do is make sure that we connect that student, if it's an academic issue, with their guidance counselor. And we use a lot of team approaches to helping any individual student, because we try to circle around the student and figure out what specific need they may have. Then there's also our new ESS, Oscar. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, the ESS is for students that have a greater need in terms of SEL, that are having a more difficult time. We do have on-site therapists through Effective School Solutions. It's an outside organization, and they go through an assessment of the student, and if determined eligible, they visit with the students weekly to make sure that they're adjusting and they're not struggling throughout the course of the day.
Excellent. Thank you. JT makes a good point about making a concerted effort to highlight the benefits of the high school. And this is part of that conversation, right? I think as parents, we need to dig deeper and do our own research above and beyond what, one company rating may say. And we're hoping this will be part of that conversation. And this video will be available on the district website and social media pages and YouTube. And so it could be a reference as well. We have another question. What is the enrollment capacity situation at the high school currently? What are typical class sizes? How do enrollment forecasts look for the next few years?
Well, I don't know that we're increasing, but we average about 2,200, and we average about, and Oscar, chime in if I'm wrong, but I believe we have about 25 in a classroom. No more than that.
Yeah, I would say, depending on the subject area, there's no greater than 25 students in a class. For a school of our size, I think it's pretty impressive, our class sizes. One subject area in particular that really stood out for me in my observations were our phys ed classes, where I come from a urban district where we would typically have over 50 students in a class. That's not the case here. So I think considering the size of our school, we have pretty favorable student-teacher ratio as far as our classes.
Yeah, and this is more just my personal curiosity. Like, would you say like 2,200? Like, is that average for high school? Because I know that way back when probably.
No, we're not. We're probably the 14th, one of the 14th largest high schools in the state.
Yeah. Okay. In our state athletics, sorry about that, Mr. Moore or Hayden. It's usually broken down by population, and you're kind of categorized by that.
Okay.
In the largest group category.
Okay.
So 100 is your bigger school in the state of New Jersey.
Got it. Okay.
We fluctuate between 21 and 2,200.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think I'm good with the Facebooks. It looks like more questions came in on the form. Can you discuss security in the high school? Are there many fights?
I can add to that. Obviously, I've been here a short time, but we have very few fights. We do have security. We currently have 6 full-time security guards that cover our building from 7 a.m. And then into the afternoon and evening events that we have all the way till 10 o'clock when the building shuts down after our sporting events. Could we use more? Absolutely. But we do currently have 6. We have very few fights, and then in situations where a school that's of this size, you're going to have conflict at times, and our security staff as well as our deans and our administrators do a great job, just finding resolution to those conflicts, and we use different strategies. One of them being our mindfulness room to find restorative ways of addressing those situations as they come.
Yeah, and I just want to add, because I know a lot of things are just bias and conjecture, because people don't really know anything until they go in to really look at things. But I've been blessed, and I'll give you the reason why we've been so good in terms of that. It's the kids. They're wonderful, wonderful kids. Those parents that we have there, I credit you. Students are respectful overall. They're well behaved. They get along. They know not to be violent with each other. Yeah, they get upset, but I do think some of those things we added, like the mindfulness and conflict resolution and things like that, has helped. But I credit the kids. They've made West Orange. They really have done a fine job of making it a safe place.
Yeah, thank you. So there's another question about Essex County VOTEC. I think we addressed that. Yeah, so this is a good question. This is actually going to be part of our, action items for wrap up, right? So is there freshmen, will they get a tour of the school before the first day? Yes.
So that's through the Mountaineer Mentor Program.
Okay.
So we actually have a freshman orientation that occurs in August. So we do it peer-to-peer, student run, because they know our building best, and they know the programs, and they know the classrooms and where they are. So it's in August. We also run small group tours or personal tours throughout the summer. Those dates are usually posted on our social media accounts and sent out to the incoming parents. But we do have a chance where they're actually given their schedules too. So their peers are able to run them through what a day would look like. Hey, on an A day, these are how you would get to your class. These are the teachers. They get to talk about the teachers. They get to talk about different ways and different activities that they are able to get into. So there's absolutely that program in the summer that we have. And then, like I said, with the Mountaineer Mentors, here is where they've got their opportunity where they meet their actual mentor. So they meet with their mentor, and that's the person that they have for the duration of the entire year, that they do those monthly check-ins with the students and with each other to see if they need anything. Yeah.
And I think, Nikki, in our prep, you were talking about, even as a parent, how that's great to have, the older classmen have that responsibility, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My older son has been a mentor for his junior year and now his senior year. And it's a great opportunity for him to have more responsibility and to be responsible for checking in on the transfer students and that sort of thing. And the, incoming freshmen, it's just a great opportunity for the older kids to, again, take on more responsibility. Like Hayden said, the kids are great. And when you give them responsibility, they'll step up to it. And I also want to say, we were at my neighbor's house a couple nights ago, I have an 8th grader, and there were 2 other 8th graders, and the excitement in just picking out the courses for next year was, my husband was like, I hope everyone's as excited as the 3 of you, because there's so much to pick from that it's exciting and it's a fun experience for them. So
yeah. I love that. Thank you. There's one question here. I think I can take it, although feel free to chime in on it. So there's a question, why is there a push to get students in West Orange High School? I don't know that there's a push. I think there is an effort to educate and inform and clarify what our high school has to offer. And we do, those of us, especially in the social media world, active, do see questions often. It comes up a lot, which means that, there is something that's unclear. And so we're just trying to make sure that, the offerings and the real experiences of the parents and the teachers and the students are reflected. Okay,
I would like to add to that, Tess, that, I myself, my family and I, we chose to move to this great community mostly because of the school system. I live in a multiracial home where I'm of Dominican descent. My wife is African American, and moving to a town like this that is diverse was of the utmost importance for us. There are many communities as far as diversity goes that are similar to West Orange, but where I think this town, this high school separate themselves is in how we unlock the strength of our diversity through its inclusiveness. When you walk through these halls, there are no cliques, there are no groups hanging with each other and not with one another. Our band classes are one of the greatest examples of just how inclusive this great school is. You'll see the typical band kid who's in the marching band, but you'll also see the running back for the football team that's playing an instrument, or a special needs student. So I think our goal here is to continue to just keep everyone informed of what we have to offer here, so that they fully understand when they are making that decision how great of a high school, of a school this is, and of a community this is. And that's a credit obviously to the students, the families, the teachers here, and Mr. Moore and his leadership over the years. So, at least that's my perspective on that. And one thing I'll say, because I know as a fairly new resident here, when you talk to the families and the students that have gone through this school, you won't find many that'll say anything negative. So if you do have a question, go to the source, speak to, Ms. Bashkoff and Maura, and find out from them what their experiences were like, because they'll tell you what's the truth. So, our hope is just to continue to build on that and continue being the great school that it is.
Thank you. That's right. You were a parent first, right? Before you joined as a as a principal. Thank you for adding that insight. Okay, let's see. So we have, please give details about gifted students programs in math and science. In particular, do you have, I feel like I'm going to mispronounce this, Olympiads like kangaroo? Is this something you guys know about, a program or something similar? So in general, the question is details about gifted student programs in math and science.
So that's our IMS program, which is, so that's our Institute of Mathematics and Science. And there is I know because tomorrow there's a trip for the Science Olympiads. So they are going to compete tomorrow. So this is the cohort that we have. Maura talks about IH, so that we also have the math and science part of it as well, which these are feeder programs into, because with this program and the way the cohorts and how we try to keep them is that they're given electives that we suggest that they take, because there is an overwhelming, and it kind of keeps those cohorts together. Some of them, especially the IMS, feed into our health sciences. So the health science programs, you should be an 11th or 12th grader, but if you're in the IMS program, you could start as young as 10th grade here. So they feed into those programs that allow them to get those college credits and into those AP courses as well. We now have AP courses that can start as soon as 10th grade now.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So there's another question. Could you discuss why the grading scale was recently changed? The passing grade dropped from a 65 to now a 60. Is that something we can?
I mean, I think it's always been 60 as far as I've been here.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't recall a change.
Okay, so we can get back to that person. Feel free to message us on the page. We can get some clarifications for you. This one is a really good one. How is West Orange faring amid national teacher and substitute shortage? Is there adequate staff?
No. No, I think that the plight of and shortage is very real across, and West Orange is, included in that. However, I will say, and again, I'm crediting our kids, our students, people return. We get a lot of our subs returning back to us. We're working on it. HR has definitely been working to try to help us with that. But I think that's just seems to be a phenomenon that's across the state. However, I will say our students, again, credit them that we happen to have a pool of subs that tend to always come back. Let's keep them coming back.
Yes.
And but overall, it's a struggle, but we manage, and also credit to our teachers because they cover and they do. They don't get their preps, they don't get their lunches, they do what they can to fill in during that time. I mean, a lot of these teachers have been here a long time, a lot of lifers, and Oscar said it best. This is a great, amazing staff.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask them to fill in, they fill in.
Yeah. Thank you to our teachers.
I will say, just sorry, from someone that has the perspective of being at another school district recently, I think our substitute teacher situation here, I know we have some that are West Orange Board of Ed employees and some that are from EDGE staff. I think we have a great pool of substitute teachers that do come back on the daily basis to chip in. And when we do need teachers to coverage, Ms. Townsend does a great job in the morning as well as the support staff in the main office of making sure we have teachers from that content area to cover those classes. And I have noticed in my short time here that our human resources department is very proactive in making sure that we have any leaves that are coming up, any vacancies, and making sure we're posting and looking for the best possible candidates before they're actually leaving us. So it's definitely they're doing the best they can with the current situation. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So we're coming up at 8 o'clock. I'm going to touch on a couple other questions. Some kind of have been covered in some aspects. So there's questions about a systematic process for freshmen to transition. So we did talk about tours. We talked about the buddy system. We talked about Mountaineer being, a resource. Someone asked, are there any summer programs? Yes, actually, that is one of the things that we will talk about as part of the action items. My kids, the older one at least, have actually attended, it's called a summer enrichment program. It's really the summer camp that happens at the high school. That's actually one other great way to get our younger kids acclimated with the high school. They, move classroom to classroom. They also have, depending on what grade, I think all grades really, if they participate, have a concert at the end. It's really the best value around, quite honestly. It's only for 4 weeks. It's for about a month. And I believe it's all West Orange teachers who manage that program. And the added bonus of that is, in my personal experience, my older one's now in 5th grade. It just so happens that he actually met 2 of his would-be teachers next year at summer camp, not knowing, so that when the names were announced, it was just really nice to have already been familiar with it. The teachers know us, we know them. It helps with that transition, right? So yes, the application typically goes out around March or so, and it gets booked pretty quickly, so stay on it. Yes, absolutely. So someone is saying, thank you for the panel for taking out their time evening to meet with the community. So I think I've covered just about every question that came in some form or shape. I'm going to now, is there anything my panelists would like to add before I go to next steps of, some actions that our parents can take? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add to some of the points that we already made. We have a lot of events here at the high school, and if you just want to get a sample of the quality of what our students and our staff produces, come and watch, some of the different performances, athletic events, you name it, and you'll be blown away. I assure you, and you will envision your child on that stage or on that field in the near future. And just to add to some of the summer programming, all of our sports teams hold summer camps here. at very affordable rates for our students. My children did the summer basketball camps, soccer camps, but we also have an engineering camp that's very popular that our dean, who's also supervisor of technology and engineering, oversees. And that's a very good program that runs in the end of July and the beginning of August that you can take advantage of as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Oscar. So here are some steps, some actions that you can take if you're watching this, right? So a lot of the questions are around transition. And so there is an incoming 9th grader orientation on January 17th. It is open to all. So whether you're currently, enrolled in our schools and going to 9th, or, maybe you're out of district and are curious. So put that date on your calendar. We talked about the summer enrichment program. So that's a great way to get your kids oriented. It's a really good value all. For like full day, it's like less than $800. So where do you get that? Where else do you get that? And tour of the school, we talked about the tours that happen. If you have questions or are interested, reach out to our principal, Oscar. His information and email is on our district website. There's also a career day, right, on April 20th. Catherine, you want to touch on that a little bit?
That was it's like a student expo life, we call that, in April, which is kind of like a showcase of all the clubs and all of the sports for incoming 9th graders or transfer students to come. And and it's not just the adults, the students are there. The students who run the clubs and the students who are in the sports are all there, so that the students can interact with them and see all the clubs and all of the sports and everything that we offer here.
And also open to all.
Yes.
And Nikki, is it okay if parents reach out to you if they have questions as a resource?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you. So those of you on Facebook, hit her up.
Bye,
We can connect you to the council as well. And as we mentioned, tomorrow the Western High School PTA has their meeting, Meet the Principal. That is for the high school parents and family members. So if you're watching, keep an eye. That is an in-person meeting, I understand. We also mentioned, if you're joining us later in the evening, there is a resource for special needs families, the WOCPTA. So be sure to check them out as well. They have meetings and they have resources. If you're watching this on replay and have questions that we have not answered, you can email us. You can continue we'll probably keep the form open, honestly, that's connected to this event, and we'll be happy to field that to our team here, or you can just directly reach out to them. Our principal, again, his contact information is on the district. It's 8:01. We did great. Thank you so much, all of you, for really giving your time. Above, this 1 hour, there's a ton of time I asked of them in preparation and really making sure that we showed, a robust and full picture to our community. And I really hope that this panel and this event helped to fill in the gaps of, the stories and the puzzles and maybe questions and concerns that you have about our high school. I hope that it's been helpful to you. Feel free to share this video out to whoever, that is interested in hearing about the high school. Again, thank you all for all the panelists. I appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.